All right, everybody. On to our last video in the networks playlist. What I wanted to do is talk a little bit about proxies and VPNs, and talk about how they can be used, why they're used, and where they might be beneficial. So, in general, proxies happen at the application level, and this is a little bit of a subtle distinction that might not hold in general, but that's what a proxy is meant for. So what you might do is set up a proxy for, say, your web browser. And what that means is when I send out a request, I actually send the request to the proxy first, and then the proxy sends out the request on my behalf. So the net effect of that is that the web server over here on the other end sees the request as coming from the proxy instead of from me. But when the proxy gets the response back, it can send it to me. This can be beneficial, especially in a place where you have a small pipe, because the proxy can also store a cache. And so what the proxy can do, like let's say everybody on campus is trying to watch Game of Thrones or something, and what the proxy can do is cache all of that stuff. And so the next person who asks for it, the proxy doesn't even have to touch the internet. And so that can save your corporation's bandwidth here by caching frequently used files and then pushing them back over. And that is part of what the Netflix infrastructure deal was about. Is they were sticking proxies and caches all over the place, trying to help the last mile effort out. And so proxies are usually happening on this application level, and most of the time you hear about it in relation to HTTP traffic. One reason people might use this is to try to avoid regency restrictions or to get around some rules, in the sense that, like, hey, I want to request a file that's only available in North America, but maybe I'm not in North America, and they'll use a North American proxy to try to connect to that and then connect to that resource. And you need to be careful of laws and doing things that are ethical here. As always, you should practice safe and ethical and lawful use of the internet. But that is one place that shows up. One thing that you should be aware of, though, is that often proxies are at the application level, and so your other traffic is still going out and touching the internet directly. So I might have a web browser that's using a proxy for the web traffic, but then I'm playing a game, and that game is sending out traffic, and that game is might not necessarily go through the web. It might, but it might not. It might have its own ports that it's using to access things. So proxies can be good. They can cache things for you. They can make your access a lot snappier, faster, but they can also slow things down. Also, if you're using a proxy like a public proxy, you should be aware that they can record all information that you send through them. They can log you. They can make those logs available to law enforcement and things like that. So proxies, especially if you're just using kind of a random one out there on the internet, might slow your traffic down if the proxy is really, really busy. It might also be a security vulnerability in a lot of different ways. Sometimes proxies exist sitting places where you don't actually have any power over it. So a corporation could stick a web proxy on the internet and proxy everything that you send without your knowledge. And that's another place where they can kind of use this cache, or they can censor data that's coming in and out of their web portals for whatever reason. Corporations might do this to stop you from visiting certain sites. Nations might do this to stop you from visiting certain sites as well. Form of censorship. So how's that different from a VPN? So generally, the VPN works a little more wholesale. The idea is that you are making sort of an overall operating system promise that all of your traffic is going to be sent from the VPN. And the way that you do that is you make a secure tunnel to the VPN such that all of your traffic between you and the VPN is encrypted. So if you're at a public Wi-Fi spot, you probably don't want to send any of your information over that public Wi-Fi, because it could probably be shared amongst a lot of different folks, including the Wi-Fi provider. But if you have a VPN, that gives you a little bit of a layer of security, because everything endpoint to endpoint is encrypted. And then everything you send out to the internet comes from the VPN. So all of your traffic is pushed through the VPN before it touches the internet. But the real difference here is that VPN usually provides you that extra layer of security because this tunnel is encrypted. All traffic goes through the VPN and all of it is encrypted. This proxy might encrypt stuff from you to it, but it might not, and that depends on the proxy. It is not the proxy's kind of deal to encrypt everything for you. So make sure you read about your proxy very closely. All right, that's a quick video to kind of tell you the difference between proxies and VPNs, just to kind of give you an idea. If you are using any of these from a public free vendor, then you probably shouldn't really think of them as very secure at all. In fact, setting up your own VPN might be a little more secure. Security is an interesting thing. Paying for a private VPN might be better. There's lots of clients out there where you can do that. As always, practice ethical computing and safe computing and lawful computing. You don't need to go to jail for any of these things that you do. So make sure you're paying attention to the rules behind all of these things. Oh, another thing a VPN can do for you that we should mention real quick is it can give you access to resources that are otherwise locked to you because VPNs make it so that these services are provided and proxies are provided by a different source. If this VPN has access to, say, these other resources over here that are not available via the internet, by using a VPN, and this is what most companies typically use this for, you can get access to the internal elements of the company. So if you're at my school, a lot of those resources are locked behind VPNs where, you can't hit payroll or anything unless you VPN in. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this one. Pretty short. As always, remember to take care of each other. And in order to do that, you have to take care of yourself. And I'll see you all as the last one. Hope you had a great trip through the network's playlist. There are little bumps here and there, but hopefully those were fun too. And I'll see you all next time. Okay. Bye.